بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. So inshallah, we are now moving on to the Khatimah of the entire book. So if you have a quick recap, we have Al-Wusta in Nahw, the whole book. And then in here we have the Muqaddimah, where we discuss a few rules regarding book. Then we had the Maqsid al-Awwal regarding the Amil, and then we had the Ism Amil, the Fa'il Amil, Harf Amil, and Ism al-Amil, and we had the Ghair Amil. Then we went on to the Ma'mul, the Ism Ma'mul, the Fa'il Ma'mul, the Jumla Ma'mula, the Shibul Jumla. Then I'rab Lafzi, I'rab Taqdiri, I'rab Mahalli, the I'rab of the Ism, I'rab of the Fa'il, I'rab of the Jumla. Now we've got a few notes which are right at the end here, the Khatimah. You understand where we are now in the book? We are right at the end here. Now we're right here in the Khatimah. So now what's the Khatimah about? We have here Ahkam la tata'allaqu bil amali wal i'rab. These are not linked to the amal, nor are they linked to i'rab. Understood? So we have Al-Khatimah regarding Ahkam la tata'allaqu bil amali wal i'rab. Yes, wa fihi babani wa khatimatun. We have in here one bab and two khatimah. So if you look at the khatimah, what's it made up of? The khatimah of the book. So the final chapter, the final section of the book, we have al-bab al-awwal fil ahkam al-ismi, and in here we'll have the muqaddimah. We'll talk about ma'rifah, nakira, we'll talk about mudhakkar, muannas, we'll talk about muthanna, muwahhad, majmu', we'll talk about tasghir, we'll talk about nisba, we'll talk about adad. Many of these things are new. Some may have already come in, like the adad came before, singular, plural, jua, but there's a lot more rules in here. Then we go on to fa'il, rules of fa'il not linked to mu'rab and mabani or i'rab. And then we have a khatimah within this khatimah. Do you understand? So we're in the khatimah. We have a babul awwal fi ahkam al-ismi and ahkam al-fa'il. But those ahkam al-fa'il which are not linked to amil and ma'mul. Those ahkam al-ism which are not linked to amil and ma'mul. Understood? Is that clear? Okay. So al-babul awwal fi ahkam al-ismi. وفيه مقدمة وخمسة فصول وخاتمة. We explained that previously. So al-muqaddimatu fi aqsam al-ism. So before we go on to the types of ism and the definitions of ism and all that, let's understand the types of ism. Let's simply study the types of ism. So وهي ثلاثة. There are three types of nouns. الأول المصدر. The first is the masdar. وهو ما يشتق منه المشتقات. وهو ما يشتق منه المشتقات. It is that a masdar. هو. The masdar is that minhu, from which the other mushtaqat, the fa'il, the ism al-maf'ul, etc., are derived. Yushtaqu, derive. Do you understand? So the masdar is that from which the other mushtaqat are derived from. Yes, the root, the source. Okay. Al-qism al-thani al-mushtaq. And then the second type, you have the masdar, then you have the mushtaq. What is the mushtaq? وهو ما يشتق من المصدر. The mushtaq is that which is derived from the masdar. So the masdar is a root, is a source of everything, and the mushtaq is that which is what? The mushtaq is that which is derived from the masdar. Understood? A lot of you probably came to Sukra fi Tasrif already. Correct? وهو darban. There are two types of mushtaq. What are they? There are two types of mushtaq. الضرب الأول المشتق بمعنى الفعل. The first type is a mushtaq in the meaning of a fa'il. الضرب الأول المشتق بمعنى الفعل. Some mushtaq have a verbal meaning. What does that mean? They're like when we done in the amil. We said in the amil, the ism al-amil are those mushtaq which govern like a verb. They have a verbal meaning. He is going to hit. He is being hit. It is being read. Yes. وهو ما يدل على معنى الفعل. And these have a verbal meaning. وهو خمسة. الأول اسم الفاعل. So the first type of mushtaq which has a verbal meaning is the ism al-fa'il. إن الله جامع الناس يوم القيامة. In this example, the word jami' is ism al-fa'il and it has a verbal meaning. What does it mean? Going to collect, going to resurrect, not resurrect, going to gather. إن الله جامع الناس يوم القيامة. Allah will gather all people on the day of Qiyamah. So gather here. And the thani is ism al-maf'ul. What is ism al-maf'ul? We've done it already, sir. It can also have a verbal meaning. كل تائب مقبول توبته. So here you have توبته is a نائب الفاعل of مقبول. So every repentant sin will be forgiven. So So this مقبول, اسم المفعول, what does it have? It has a verbal meaning. It has a meaning of اسم المفعول, اسم الفعل المجهول meaning. This has a فعل معلوم meaning. فعل معلوم فاعله meaning. This has a فعل مجهول فاعله meaning. Everybody following? Yes? Any questions from anybody? G, go ahead. What's the question? Okay. G. The third is الصفة المشبهة باسم الفاعل. Is what? الصفة المشبهة باسم الفاعل. What is this? الصفة المشبهة باسم الفاعل. We've already covered this before. Is what? Any noun that has a meaning of a اسم الفاعل, but it has a more long-term meaning. So even these are mushtaq. نحو العبادة حسن ثوابها. So the same thing already comes on page 51. There we mentioned them when they were the اسم العامل, not 51, page 49. So the اسم العامل and غير عامل, we mentioned it there. Here we're discussing it as a term of it being mushtaq or not mushtaq. So العبادة حسن ثوابها. So ibadah and the reward of ibadah is good. So حسن is صفة مشبهة باسم الفاعل. It has a verbal meaning of being good. Or المعصية قبيح عذابها. And the اسم المبالغة نحو الله غفار للتوابين. Allah forgive those who repent. So here غفار is also what? An amil. It is it forgives. It has a verbal meaning. And the fifth one is اسم التفضيل, to be better than somebody. العلم أفضل من المال. Knowledge is better than mal. So these are 5 examples of mushtaqat. And it already came in on page 49 when we discussed the ism al-amil. But we're discussing it here now in terms of relative to masdar. So we have the masdar is the root, and that is where everything derived from. Then we have the mushtaqat, those are derived nouns. And there are 2 types of derived nouns. One is the ones that have a verbal meaning, which are these 5. And these were also mentioned in the ism al-amil section. And now we're going to have what? Then we said that the mushtaqat are 2 types. The one that have a verbal meaning, these 5, and then we're going to also have the one that don't have a verbal meaning, which is coming up shortly. But one thing we have to remember here is that we said that these 5 have a verbal meaning. This is its default, it have a verbal meaning. However, قد يدل هؤلاء على معنى غير معنى الفعل. Sometimes these 5, they have a meaning, but the meaning is not a verbal. For example, التاجر. What does the word تاجر mean? تاجر. A merchant, yeah, a merchant. Yes, refers to a merchant. Now, when you have a merchant, the verbal meaning is not in here. This word doesn't mean he is going to do business. It doesn't mean going to do business. For example, the word قائم. So قائم means standing. That's a verbal meaning. Correct? Yes? And the word tajir means a merchant as a noun. So in here, the verbal meaning is gone. There's no verbal meaning. The verbal meaning is in this one. Similarly, the ism al-maf'ul can have a non-verbal meaning. So maqtulun can have both meanings. He is going to be killed. Or it can also mean what? The murdered, the one who has been murdered. Yes? Maqbulun, it will be accepted. Maqbulun, an accepted servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Marid is sifatun mushabbahatun bism al-fa'il. It doesn't mean he is sick. It means a sick person. Do you understand? Allama, a knowledgeable person. Dunya is mutafdil. Adna dunya, it means the world. So what you have to remember is that these 5, they can have a verbal meaning, and in that case they will be amil. However, sometimes the verbal meaning is taken out from them, and they act as pure nouns. In this case, they won't be amil. Do you understand? Is that clear? Yes. When they come as adjective as well, they lose their verbal meaning. Yes, do you understand? So these 5, meaning these 5 mushtaqat, they can have verbal meanings. But sometimes what happens is the verbal meaning is taken off and removed. Is that clear? Everyone following? Is that clear to everyone? Okay. Now, the second type of mushtaq is the one that doesn't have a verbal meaning. What are these? هو ما لا يدل على معنى الفعل. It is that which does not denote a verbal meaning. Yes? وهو اثنان. There are 2 of them. This already came in الصغرى في التسريف. Number 1 is اسم الظرف, a noun which shows a ظرف meaning. And we said it's a pattern of maf'il, for example, masjid. And the whole discussion of this came into As-Sughra fi Tasrif. And the second is ismul ala. What's the second? Ismul ala. What's ismul ala? The noun that shows a tool, like miftah. So these are mushtaqat, but these mushtaqat do not have a verbal meaning. They're pure nouns, they're never verbal. Masjid never has anything to do with going to prostrate, being prostrated to. Is pure noun. Correct? Miftah, it doesn't have anything, it doesn't have a verbal meaning of opening, open, to be open, will be open. It simply means key. So the previous 5 can be used as verbs, not as verbs, in a verbal meaning, and they can also be transferred to noun meaning. But these two are purely used as nouns. Is that clear to everybody? And the third type of noun we have is jamid. We have masdar, we have mushtaq, and now we have jamid. What is a jamid? A jamid is huwa ma la yushtaqu min al-masdari wa la yushtaqu minhu al-mushtaqat. It is that which is not la yushtaqu min al-masdar, it is not derived from the masdar, nor are other mushtaqat derived from it. Basically, it's the third option. So you've got 3. Yes, it now has to be one of these 3. A masdar, a mushtaq, or a jamid. If it's a masdar, that means that the mushtaqat are derived from it. A mushtaq means it is derived from the masdar. And a jamid means it doesn't have any ishtiqaq. For example, Al-Qalamu. So Al-Qalam, it doesn't come from the word, well, it's not a ism al-maf'ul or ism al-fa'il or one of those mushtaqat. It does have a link to the verb qalama, but it's not a mushtaq in that sense. Are you following me? Just as a side note, even the jamid, like it may have a link to the word, to the verbal meaning. Like for example, like all words have some kind of link. For example, like khatam means ring. Now that's not a mushtaq, but it has to the word khatama, it has a link to that. You won't have a word like midrab, or you won't have a word like, what can we say, like maktaba. Maktaba is a mushtaq. Let's say, for example, I don't know, like sawt, jama' aswat, it's in sound, but it's not mushtaq in terms of grammatical mushtaq. But if you look at the root letter sawata, that also has a verbal meaning of link to the sawt. So when I say it's not linked or not derived, it means it's not got this verbal and sarfi ishtiqaq and sarfi connection, as in it's derived from it. But it will always have a link to the root meaning. Do you understand? You get what I'm saying? Farasun is a horse, correct? So it's not derived. Farasun is not pattern of it's not ism al-fa'il, it's not ism al-maf'ul, it's not mushtaq, it's not tafdil. However, if you look at the word farasa, the root of farasa, it will have some kind of meaning link. It's not going to have a random word like farasa when it be linked to a verb that means to hit or something, or a verb that means to write. The root letter of farasa will have some kind of meaning, which from there you get the faras, horse meaning. Do you understand? But it's not mushtaq in terms of a sarf aspect. Is that clear to everybody? So quick recap, what do we have? The muqaddimah, and we're discussing the aqsamul fa'il. So in the khatimah, we're talking about what? The aqsamul fa'il. Yes? And in here, what did we discuss? We said that there are 3 types of words, isms. One is a masdar, that is the root of all of the other verbs. The second is the mushtaq, that is the one that has been derived from the masdar. And there are 2 types of mushtaq. The first mushtaq is the one that has the verbal meaning, and the second is the one that has the non-verbal meaning. The ones that have the mushtaq ma'na al-fa'il, those are the same ones that are amil. And the mushtaq ghayri ma'na al-fa'il is the ism al-ala and the ism al-ظرف. And then we have the jamid, which is neither derived from other nouns, nothing is derived from it, nor is derived from something else. Is that clear to everybody? So our muqaddimah finished. Okay. Jay, go ahead. So when I said here, like qalamun, for example, so the word qalam, is it an ism al-fa'il? Qalamun? No, it's not ism al-fa'il. Is it ism al-maf'ul? It's not ism al-maf'ul. Is it ism al-tafdil? Sifat al-mushabbaha? Mubalaga? It's none of these. So is it a mushtaq in the sense that it is like in sarf aspect? Is it a mushtaq from a sarf perspective? Yes or no? No. However, the word qalamun, what we use as a noun to write, when you look at this vocabulary, if you look in the word qalama as a verb, you will see it has some kind of link in meaning. Do you understand? But it's not a mushtaq technically. Does that make sense? Are you following me? But no, it's not ism al-ala pattern. It's not ism al-ala pattern. Fa'alun is not the ism al-ala pattern. Mif'alun, miqlam is the ism al-ala pattern. Qalamun is not a pattern of ism al-ala. Fa'alun is not a pattern of ism al-ala. Do you understand? Are you following me? Yes? Okay. Okay. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.